Andy, if you all are good, then we are set.
Yeah, all right, Rob, if you want to introduce yourself, and then just, and we've got your team here, you can't see them, but Chris and Chris are both here, and let them introduce themselves too, and then we'll let you guys roll over. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So first, I just want to thank everybody for putting up with this and going through this. Had this vacation planned a while back, but things happen. So I'm glad this was able to work out.
Budget, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So back to reality tomorrow. But first and foremost, I just want to say thanks to the mayor, city administrator, Kitzrow, for the additional funding that we got for some of our projects that we had for FY26. But specifically today, I want to talk about two critical items that I feel we need to find some way to fund these items for the fire department to continue to serve and continue to ensure that we're ready to serve. A little bit of background. This year, we've worked really hard to increase some revenues through, potential fire service agreement, and as well as some fire marshal dollars, and proposing increasing our EMS fees for service. So this year alone, we're estimating that we're going to provide over 50% of our budget, and we'll come back in some shape of revenue, whether that's fire marshal's office, EMS, transport, or whatever. EMS currently is projected for FY26 to bring in $2.9 million in net revenues, which is the highest we've ever had. So that's due to increased call volume and a slight raise, market adjustment based on a recommendation from our medical billing provider in our rates to make sure that we're competitive and that we're in line with other similar jurisdictions. So that's all great, good, and well, but we're not going to make those EMS revenues if we don't continue to maintain our apparatus replacement schedule with regards to our ambulances. And one thing that we did in the CIP this year, because of several reasons, is we moved our ambulances up 1 year in the CIP, or we proposed to do that, as well as go from a 5-year to a 4-year replacement. And some of the reasons, you may ask why, some of the reasons we're doing that, obviously the increased call volume that I've reported to council about, averaging 4% per year annually, but also longer build times. We used to be able to get an ambulance in 18 to 24 months. Now it's 3 years. The engine that you guys just awarded bid to for us, we signed the contract on that. It's going to be just over 4 years before that engine gets here for us to be able to use it. So
3 to 4.
Yeah, it's a problem nationwide. It's not just specific to Salisbury or the Atlantic coast. But, it's something we need to plan and budget for, and that's why we felt the need, due to the increased call volume and this long lead time, as well as lead time for parts. I apologize, I've been off for a week, so I'm not sure if the ambulance is back in service, but prior to me leaving, we had one of our older units sitting out of service for 2 weeks waiting for a part to come in. When you're only running 6 units and 4 of them are staffed, leaving you with 1 backup unit, that's not in an area of safety or comfort that me as a fire chief feels comfortable with. So with seeing these units not in the CIP, what we're asking is if they can get moved up to the FY26 budget, they don't have to be funded or paid for until they arrive. So if we sign the contract today, we don't have to worry about any money for them for 3 years down the road. And that's what we've done with the engine, and that's what basically I'm asking to do with regards to these ambulances. And it's just because it's a pure, hey, if we put them off another year, we're now looking at FY29, FY30 before these things arrive. And I'll be honest with you, all 3 of our backline units have over 100,000 miles on them. When you couple that in with the engine runtime, you're looking at those units having on the motor itself over 800,000 miles. And that's current. That's not saying 3 to 4 years or 3 years down the road when these new units would come in. That's right today. So we're going to look at over 1 million miles on our 3 background units. And I don't want to be the LA Fire Department with the wildfires that they had out there and 150 some units sitting at a shop waiting for parts. I don't want to be that fire department, and I don't want to be that fire chief, and I don't think we want to be that city. People talk a lot about battles and wars and going, are you willing to go die on the hill? This is one that I'm willing to die on the hill for, because we need to be there and we need to have equipment that's in service and ready to roll when the times come. So, and the calls come in, and I don't know that our backline units are going to last much more than say 2 to 3 years from now. And I just don't want to be in that situation. So again, we're not asking for funding in this year. We're just simply asking that these units on the CIP be moved up to what we requested them to be at, which would be funded in FY, or not funded, but being able to sign a contract and have an account created in FY26 and not having them pushed back to FY27. I don't know questions on that particular topic before Chris talks about the other one.
I think that was really clear.
Yes.
We got you. Roger that.
And if you all need any better explanation on how the financing of that actually works, really what you're doing is obligating yourself to a particular future debt time frame now. We just did it with the fire engine. So again, once you say yes or were to say yes to this, then you can't get out of it.
And is it the same as the fire, the fire apparatus where we lock in the price? So, and again, the concern would be, I don't see prices decreasing with the machinery. So if we lock in the price now or whenever the bid is.
Yeah, whatever the contract rate is now, then they would build it. That is the cost that we would pay 2 or 3 years from now. And so in your CIP, we went over it, but we didn't drill down on the fire apparatus where it says $1.3 million. It's actually, we got the authority to do it, but we would be paying that debt service in future years when we got that. So very similar model.
And again, excuse my my ignorance, but is it so we order the I was thinking of whatever, if it's a truck or so we order the truck and then we outfit it. Is that all into one bid or into one?
Yes.
Okay.
You're talking about like all the equipment that goes on the unit itself?
Sure.
Like stretchers, heart monitors?
Well, the
1.3
Lights,
million.
yeah, includes all.
Okay. I was just wondering if we've looked at different vendors to make sure that we had the best vendors, the best, but I'm assuming you all have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so President Dowdy, just to explain, so we do that. All of the major apparatus manufacturers are members of the Houston Galveston contract that we recently used for the engine or Sourcewell. So they're all government vetted contracts with the vendors, so they're all guaranteed lowest price, awarded contracts that we can pretty much just piggyback on, and that's typically what we do with that. We don't necessarily have a reason to change from our current ambulance vendor. We're happy with the units. Our providers are happy with the units, and as well as all of our life-saving equipment that's on those, and all that stuff is already government contract. Award bids already been done.
One other item, just because you guys don't probably have it in your packet because you don't have a CIP and list in front of you. So because we had moved it a year, it won't even show up in your CIP as something that was defunded because you're only looking at what was in the FY26 like you do funded. So Rob, if you want to give us a total on what that funding would be for the conversation, do you have that number in front of you?
Yeah, I do. It's so it's for 4 EMS units, which typically we've done 3, but the goal this year was to do 4 with the anticipation of putting up a 5th peak demand unit, so maybe like a Monday through Friday. The total cost for those 4 EMS units with all the equipment that we're asking for would be $2.56 million, $2,560,800, and that's the most recent estimate from the vendor. Again, everything goes out to contract. We were able to come in under budget on the engine, and I think that there's enough cushion built into this that that 2.56 is a real number for the 4 EMS units, along with all the equipment, stretchers, and everything that comes on that unit, brand new, ready to go.
One other thing I would just bring up for conversation as you're thinking about it. Historically, with our EMS units, we have done a lease payment for them. So when the lease payment ends, we would pick up another lease payment. So the delta wouldn't be as bad. We are moving from 3 units to 4 units, and the costs are just more than they were 5 and 6 years ago. So there would be a net increase, but it wouldn't be leasing 2.56 because you would have the old lease payments relatively coming off. I don't know if it'll hit the exact same year, or if it would be the next year, but we've already trained our budget to carry lease payments for at least 3 ambulances right now. Is that correct, Rob?
Yes, that's correct.
Could you also?
One of the reasons that we feel a need to go to 4 and Chief Truitt just provided this information in the last week, is that fourth unit that we've been staffing was one of the calls days the other day. It was on calls for 43% of the day, which is almost half, which is it's ridiculous. There's no downtime, so can you imagine coming to work for 24 hours and 43% of that you're physically spent on calls at the hospital? That's not counting equipment checks, station duties, training, meals, going to the bathroom, all that, getting rest, all those times. It's one of the highest numbers. So we're keeping an eye on that, and we're looking at the need for possibly putting up a fifth unit. So just want to put that out there, and that's our need, is to get ahead of this, because definitely in 3 years, when these ambulances arrive, there will be a need for a fifth unit.
Could you send us what you just spoke about? Just send that to us.
Yep.
And either were you treating the budget for that in the actual?
I'll get a delta yield.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have that.
You could.
Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you.
You good, Rob?
Yeah, I'm good. I think Chief Oblarski is going to talk about portable radios next.
Yes. Well, good morning. I'd like to reiterate the fire chief's appreciation for allowing us to come in and speak to you guys on these two topics. I'm going to speak to you about the portable radio replacement. So I believe most of you, with probably the exception of Councilwoman DeShield, you've been a part of this portable radio replacement for the last several years. Initially, at the beginning, we were in the process of having to replace 108 portable radios. And these are radios that are on the equipment that the folks wear, so when they leave the equipment, they have radio communication to speak to the 911 center and to other units. So we began with that replacement in FY23. To date, we have replaced 65. We had on the CIP for this year to replace an additional 25, and that would have been our fourth year of replacement out of 5, and would have left 18 more to go in the last year. When this initially started, the issue we were running into with the radios and the reason why we needed to replace them, if you remember, was because of battery issues. So the vendor, we were starting to run into problems with batteries starting to run out their life cycle. And when we started to order new batteries, we found that the batteries, the new ones, were no longer compatible with the current radios that we had. So it made them not intrinsically safe. So what that means is these radios were not allowed, or they could, but it made it much more dangerous for us and our personnel to go into dangerous atmospheres for fear of heat or sparks being produced by keying up the radio. So we knew at that time we needed to start replacement. So that was the initial reason. However, over the last couple of years, of course, encryption has now come into play with encrypting channels. The other issue that we found with our older radios is that they are not capable of being encrypted. Only the new ones are. So that has now left us with this not being funded this year. At this point, it has now left us with part radios 65 that are intrinsically safe and can be encrypted, to at least another 43, roughly, that will not have that capability. So, as you can probably imagine, it's going to leave us with a safety and wellness concern for our individuals on both fronts, both on the intrinsic part of it and then part of the encryption part. Several of our neighboring police agencies have or will be going encrypted. I know the county has been talking about it lately, and there is talk about it becoming a mandatory thing sometime in the future, nationwide. So us, as a fire department, we work with a lot of these police agencies, the sheriff's office, the state police, city PD, Department of Natural Resources, all of which either have or will be going encrypted. We have to have some way to communicate with them on large-scale incidents. God forbid, some sort of active shooter event or terroristic event, we would have no capability to switch channels and talk with them. So that is why we feel that we really need to have this money put back in somehow, so we can finish the additional 43 radios over the next 2 years, 25 for this year and the additional for the next CIP. And we really feel that that's extremely important to have put back in.
That number is 174,934. You can see it listed actually in the CIP where they're funded.
It's about six
934.
six from the bottom on the first page on the CIP
portable radio
general fund.
replacement.
Yep.
So question for you, Mr. Obarski.
Yes.
Or Chief Obarski. So we have 65 currently that are current, correct?
They're brand new, and they are intrinsically safe and can be encrypted.
Gotcha. And then, so what, talk to me about the numbers for your squadron, so where does it put you with having why'd you come to the additional 25 for this year, then 18 for the next funding year?
Well, for the first year, we asked for 25.
Okay.
We were told we could only order 15. So we started with 15 the first year.
Okay.
And then from that point, the last 2 CIPs, we have ordered 25.
Okay.
And that's to help try to keep the cost relatively down.
Okay.
That's why they had spread it out over a 5-year period of the replacement. The 18 in the last year was just the remaining numbers.
Sure.
That we had to replace.
What does the 65 put you at? So, your day-to-day with your different shifts, what does the 65 look like for you and your department? So right now.
I think each radio is assigned to an individual
Yeah.
person rather than.
No,
like
we have.
So that's what I need you to talk.
Yeah,
talk to me
each
about
of
how
our
this-
apparatus has, again, the ambulances generally have 2 because we
Sure.
have 2 people that ride it.
Okay.
And then the capital pieces such as the ladder truck, the engines, have anywhere from 4 to 5 radios per piece. And then all of our officers are issued a personal radio for them. Like myself, I have personal radio. I know Chief Truitt has a personal radio that we use, in our own vehicles. So that come to a total of 108. But they're all dispersed. The majority of them are dispersed throughout the apparatus that we have. The number on each just depends on what apparatus it is. Some of our utilities just have a single handheld radio. But some of the larger pieces have anywhere up to 4 to 5, depending on how many seats are on there available.
The hazmat unit
Yeah.
has 8, I believe.
Yeah,
So at any given time, all of the radios are in place? There aren't
Yes.
any being charged or
Yes.
anything like that?
Yep.
So any given hour of any day?
yep.
You need
And all the
100
apparatus have, I would say the majority of the apparatus have charging stations on them.
Right, but
that they
still,
charge
they're-
on.
they
That is
are
correct.
on the spot?
Physically
That's
ready.
correct.
on that.
So
Yeah.
108 on any given time is what you depend upon?
That's correct.
Okay.
In the breakdown, the 174 divided by 25 is about 7,000 per.
Are you
just-
on my computer? You are like.
I've got a mirror
Yeah,
behind
okay,
you,
you know
so
what
I
I'm
know
doing.
exactly.
Man, so is that okay? So what's my next question then? No, okay, now so is it just base just like 700 per radio or is there
7,000, but yes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you said 700,
7,000.
7,000.
105?
Yeah.
Oh yes, sorry, missed the zero. My
Yeah.
bad. It's because we were So is it roughly that 7,000 per radio or is it?
Yeah, it's roughly about 7,000 per.
So there's no like if you order 10, you get them in this cost. If you order 20, there's no like discount for
There
ordering
already is a discount in that.
This, yeah.
in that.
That's correct.
Yes.
What a discount.
Right.
And actually, quite often, or at least the last couple of years, I should say, we get the estimates, but for the last couple of years that we've done it, the last 2 years specifically, the cost actually came in less for the 25. So, yeah, the estimate is 174,934, but the last 2 years, if tradition stays true, it's been less.
Sure.
By, a couple $1,000s.
Council, any other questions about the portable radios?
Only other comment I'll make on it, sorry to keep jumping in, is because of the amount and what it is, this would not be a bonded item. It would either be paid with cash or potentially leased. So it's just a different funding mechanism. So that 174 would be more costly than like a different bonded thing. So just have to understand if it's something you're considering, you're probably looking at pay-go, so cash and/or maybe a lease, which would be about $17,000, $18,000 a year.
Any questions? Any questions about the encryption or intrinsic safe?
So you want the 25 in the 26 budget, and then asking for the remaining 18 or how
Would
many
be in the following CIP,
year.
yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Basically, just to stick with the original plan, which was to replace
Phase
in
them
5
in.
years. Yeah.
Got it.
Council, you want to put that on the list
Yeah.
of to discuss later? Okay. Thank you.
On the list.
Yep. And can you put next to that 7,000 per and then just put the 25? But every year you've been doing the 25.
Yeah, last 2 years, yes, except for the first, we did 15.
First year you did 15.
Yeah.
Can you put first year 15 next to that?
There's a guest dog outside.
I was, oh, okay.
It's Julie's dog. It's Julie's dog.
Oh, Julie.
Jesse's got it.
Why is she in here?
Oh, my gosh.
He just got out.
What is going in?
It's your Donna's dog.
What is she being a leash?
All mohawked up.
He's right now, the office always, they always used to have the office door closed.
Never expected that.
Yeah.
A little bit of excitement for the morning.
Put a little extra in the FSA, the fire service agreement for that.
He's on a leash. First need to be on a leash. She need to be on a leash.
It happened during the fire. You guys.
Yeah.
Scared to talk. All right. Any other?
Dog got in
Somehow.
She need to be on a leash.
Any other questions about that? No. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes, appreciate. Thank you,
Thank you
Chief.
very much.
Yes, enjoy your last day of vacation.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on here for Chief
Bring us
Smith and
back
the
some
volunteers, if that's okay.
sunshine.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
We'll bring in volunteer.
She's got this.
Working over there.
Can't hit it though.
I know. We're on the recorded line, so I don't want to say what. But yeah, wait.
I'm gonna say it.
Can you?
I don't want to start running, kicking.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Yes.
Hi, Lee. I'm well, and you?
You gonna come sit it? Something I can.
So I did have a.
We got one chair left.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, please be careful back there.
Please don't.
We got quite the mess.
I love this every year. We get a nice little.
Go to work. This.
Oh, dang. You got something with you there.
Got something.
We need to budget that money.
I guess we could, yeah, could just keep rolling. Also, council, as we go through any of these, if there's any detailed level reports you wanted to go through on any of the orgs, I think you all have the packets. We can drill down any of that stuff. Otherwise, we'll just allow them to present information that they.
Thank you.
Good morning, council and
morning.
mayor, and
Good morning.
administrator. I'm Lee Smith. I'm the volunteer
Thank you.
volunteer deputy chief for City of Salisbury Fire Department. And I think it's always important as we come at budget session to asking for funding that we make you aware of some of the things that the volunteers contributed to the fire department over the last last billing cycle, the last 12 months. So as a volunteer corporation, funding-wise, we funded $157,000 worth of projects back to justify the revenue that you give us annually. That included replacing our Hearst tool equipment. There's a new line of equipment out there called E-Hydraulics, which is a battery-powered system which has better cutting capability and better things like that. It's less maintenance from the pumps and the hydraulic system. So we converted that to a cost of $33,000. We purchased some fire hose that was out of date. We do annual hose testing, and we found some sections of hose that were didn't pass inspection. They were no longer safe to use due to basically the pressures, so that was at a $17,000 purchase. Cyanide kits on the ambulance, something we hope we never use, but our cyanide kits had expired. So that was a $7,315 expense that we replaced those to put back on our medic units. I'm sorry?
Cyanide?
Cyanide
You kill 'em?
kits. No, we don't want it, like I say, I hope they expire all the time. We never have a need to use them, but, if somebody's exposed to it, this is a kit that is like an antidote that we can give the patient to save them or us, either one.
Antidote in the presentation.
Correct. So, when I said the kits were expired, I hope they always expire. I hope we never had to use them, but there was in need of a replacement to have them available in the need that, we had a terrorist attack and we needed them, we have them. The ones that have been to the administrative area, we ran out of space with on the boards in the administrative area with the fire chiefs and things. We updated that board or added to the board. That was an expense of $2,500 that we took care of doing. Thermal imaging cameras, and for the ones that don't know what thermal imaging cameras are, crews that go in on the fire scene, it allows us to detect the heat. We can find the source of the fire. We can see a body if somebody's trapped in there. So we purchased 3 additional thermal imaging cameras. So our goal is to continue to do that. So every firefighter position, as far as anybody that would go in, would have a thermal imaging camera. Instead of having one per unit, each person will have a thermal imaging camera to take in with them when they go into a structure. So like I say, we did that years ago when we got into thermal imaging. We bought 1 per unit. Thankfully, they have come down in cost, so it gives us the capability of buying multiple units now. So like I said, we just added 3 new ones, which are much better than the original ones we had as well. We've had which is a good thing, we've had increased staffing from the volunteer Azrael's career. So we ordered Station 2, actually paid for additional gear racks to be for the uniform or gear to be stored on. That was an expense of $23,000. And then we had a kind of a surprise expenditure. Our keyless access system at all 3 stations was no longer supported by the manufacturer. The software was an on-site, on-staff software, and it failed. So based at that point, no one had access to the building. So we paid to have all 3 card access systems upgraded to an expense of $41,500. We did work with Steve Dickerson on that to make sure that the vendor and all was, acceptable. So, because it is an IT-based product. And then just recently, we have ordered and purchased 2 drones, one small, one large. We're in the process of doing the training and certifications for that now in the SOPs, but the smaller one will be able to go like in a large-scale facility for pre-plans. We can fly over and see within a building. The larger one would be like for search and rescue. We had somebody that was missing. They had dementia, whatever, got out in an area. We can cover a much broader area with a drone. It also has the heat capability as far as doing that. So I know the CPD has them, but this would be another alternative if we have a search for a missing child, whatever it happens to be. When we had a period of people drowning, we had a couple drownings in the river. We could look for areas within the river with a drone. We can cover more square space. But anyway, we purchased that, and it's part of the department now. So asking for funding for this year, things we plan on doing is we want to do some renovations and additions to our fire museum at Station 16. Our 1916 American LaFrance needs some tender loving care as far as some maintenance so we're planning on getting that so it's not just sitting there. We can use it for parades, we can use it for funerals, we can use it for whatever events. So we're looking to get that. We don't really know what it's going to cost yet. We haven't been able to find anybody locally that can work on a 1916 apparatus. And then we're going to continue to support the administration and fund projects as they come up, just like the keyless access system wasn't something that we had planned on doing, but the manufacturer said we can't do anything. This software is out of date. We can't update the software. So we were kind of in a situation we had to do that emergency acquisition. Calls for service. I know this slide is a repeat for a lot of people, but our trend, we still continue to increase our call volume year after year. So in that, it's important that, most importantly, is that we keep up to date with our apparatus and have the best for our members. So in that, as far as budget requests, I've met with Chief Frampton, Chief Obarski, and Chief Scott at the time, and we discussed the budget in depth. And basically, everything, I'm in agreement with everything that he has recommended. And there are a couple areas that I think are really, really important that we highlight. Main thing is our apparatus and our ambulance force. I understand the apparatus is in the budget for the second engine. We got one last year, 3-year build time. It's a 2009 we're replacing. The second 2009 engine won't be here for probably 4 years based on build time from the manufacturer. Our ambulances are running 35 to 40 calls per shift. They are getting, they're running the wheels off of them, to put them kind of an example. So the duty crew, the ambulance crews are running 35 to 40 calls per 24-hour shift. So there's not a lot of downtime with that. It could be a mile to Anchorage Nursing Home. It could be 10 miles somewhere else. So they certainly need to be, looked at and funded. So we're recommending 4 units instead of the 3, and I just was listening to Chief Obarski explain why we need that. The ambulances now are in a build cycle of about a 3-year turnaround time. It used to be 18 to 24 months. Now it's about a 3-year time to build it. And the reason I'm asking for the request this year to support the administration is, number one, we're going to lock the cost in at a 2025 purchase price. If it gets pushed off another year, you're probably going to look at several $100s or several $1,000 addition per unit to that, and then you still have another 3 to 4 year build time on ambulances. That our ambulances are sitting there now; they're already 4 years old. So it's real important that we do that. The great part for the city is we're looking at FY 28, 29 before they're going to be received. So we can lock it in, order them, get the building of the apparatus, and we don't have to fund them or don't have to pay for them until they actually arrive. The other project, and I was sitting out there and heard Chief Obarski, is the portable radios. We have about 80% of the project completed, and we need to finish the rest of it. I have one of the older portables myself, and we're running to a situation. I can't get a new battery, so the battery lives are shorter, and I don't need a battery to last 24 hours. I'm not going to be on a 24-hour shift that I need a battery to last for 24 hours, but the older radios are not capable. We can't get radio batteries anymore from Motorola. The other part that is, if we were on a large-scale incident, the chief officers would certainly be involved in that. Heaven forbid, a school shooting or a mass casualty situation. And then if the city police were on their encrypted channels, we cannot communicate with them. So it's important that that, 174,934 be available to fund this program for the radios so that we're all on one, we're able to talk among ourselves. If we have a large-scale incident, we're going to have Sheriff's Department, which is encrypted, City Police was encrypted. Maryland State Police is not encrypted at this time. I don't know about DNR, but, I know City Police is using encryption and Wycombe County is using encryption.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mr. Smith, for going over this. I just, and if any other council member has some questions or comments, please jump in. My only comment or question is, which I appreciate, you all are wanting to make some updates to the museum, which I think is really cool, especially
It's our history.
It is, yes. So if we could take this opportunity to highlight some, some women's history or some, I know we have in that being on the west side, we have some deep-rooted Black history with our community over there and our personnel or some people of color. That would be a good opportunity to take that in there. So that would be appreciated from the community for you all to highlight some of those those minority communities.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Council.
What year was that, the antique vehicle?
It's a 1916 American LaFrance. It was our first motorized apparatus in the department. Several years ago, we had it completely restored as far as the body of it. We had some rust and things we had corrected, and it was about $100,000 in renovation that the volunteers spent on it. But now we have some mechanical engine problems, and we can't find, it's not like you can take it to a mechanic that they don't know it. So we're probably going to have to go Pennsylvania or somewhere and have a mechanic that, I have a friend who has a Model T. He's just pulled the motor out of it and carried it to Strasburg, Pennsylvania to get it rebuilt. So we don't know what the expense, so we're going to get somebody to come look at it and give us an estimate on what it's going to take. But it's a shame to have a piece of apparatus like that just sitting in a museum when it could be functional.
Okay.
I have a really strange question. Would someone at the airport, anybody out there, be able to work on that engine?
No.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's a whole different style engine. So like the spark plugs, you put a wire there and you put a nut, so it's not like a plug-in. It's a unique. It's 1916, so it's original. When we used to have musters, it still pumped and functioned, but we've got some issues now where it's not been run for so long that there's I don't know if it's fuel. I'm not a mechanic, but if it's the fuel or what, but we plan on, Chief Frampton would like to have it, as not a functional piece as far as responding to calls, but to be able to use it in parades and things like that. So we're willing to look at it and see if we can't get it back as a, not an operational piece, but so it's operating.
You keep the same wheels on there, those
Yep, our wheels are going to stay the
those
same.
bicycle wheels on there.
They're solid rubber,
Woo,
solid
boy.
rubber tires.
I'll let you ride on that first. And then
I've ridden on it and look forward to riding on it again.
Council, any other questions? Comments?
No, I appreciate your presentation every
Yes.
year. It's very sharp and
Yes.
very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we
appreciate
appreciate everything that the city does for us. And like I say, there's a couple, even though I'm a volunteer, there's a couple of projects that I really feel, the two that I mentioned, I think are really, really important to either include in the budget or add to the budget because it's so necessary. And it's not just for the volunteers, it's for the department. They're safe, radios are
City.
definitely a safety issue. If that's why we put the new radios on the apparatus, and the people going in, they have constant communication if they get in trouble or whatever.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, we appreciate your service. Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Smith.
Thanks, Lee.
thank
Chief
you.
Frampton, anything else to round us off?
Got anything else, Chief?
No, I'm good. Chief Smith pretty much hit everything. The mayor has funded the volunteers at the same level as he did last year, and that's appreciated. It was just kind of a couple of the projects that we mentioned earlier, as well as the ones that Chief Smith went over that the volunteers pay. They are a critical point or a critical part of our organization. They also get state funds in as well to help with some of their projects. So without them, we wouldn't have a lot of the things that we have. We would be coming to the city with a lot more asks, such as the key replacement system, the access replacement, equipment, different avenues like that. So it's imperative that we have them. And as he said, the numbers have definitely gone up since July. I think we've taken in over 20 new volunteers. It does take a little bit of time to see the fruits of their labor and their efforts and getting them through class, but I think within the next few months we're going to start seeing a lot more volunteers, on scenes and in our stations, which is great. So that's really all I have.
Perfect. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Enjoy yourself, Rob.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Safe travels.